Hey, good morning. Hope you are having a beautiful Friday and welcome to this live. Excuse me, I do have a little bit of a sore throat today. So hopefully that won't progress into anything further. I was just chatting to one of the mums when I was dropping my daughter off at school, and she's like, I just don't have time to get sick. And I was like, yes, I relate to that. So we're going to have a quiet weekend and hope that this doesn't progress into anything else. I'm sure it won't. So anyway, how are you guys going? Happy Friday. Let me know if you're on the replay. Say hey, let me know that you're watching. Say hi as you jump on, or say hi as you do that. What I wanted to do today, and I know quite a few people said they were going to catch the replay. So what I wanted to chat about today is I have literally done, I counted them up, 22 of my Narrow Your Niche calls since the beginning of January. I've got some more scheduled today and some more scheduled next week. So I wanted to share some insights with that because yes, there is an element of like, of course you need a second set of eyes on your niche. And I think nothing can move you forward more fast than that, than just having someone, hey Sarah, having someone have their eyes on your niche and your business and giving you that advice. But there are some other really common themes that are coming through. So when you've had 22 calls in sort of 6 to 8 weeks, you start to notice really strong themes coming through. And I wanted to talk about them today in terms of like the mistake or the kind of theme that of something that's not working and the shift to make to ensure that you're magnetic to your clients, that you're clearly messaging, that it's so easy for you to sell your coaching services. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. So if as you're watching, you've got questions, I love the engagement. So let me know as you hop on, say hi, and let's dive on in. So I even made notes today to keep myself on track. So the first thing that I see in narrowing the niche or like defining a coaching niche is wanting to solve too many problems. Okay. And I think we can all relate to this as coaches. I know we can absolutely work with people on so many different things. But even as an example, yesterday I spoke to a woman and she's like, oh, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. And they're not cohesive. So it's really confusing to your audience if you're going out and talking about, I don't know, one week you're talking about helping them have better relationships, and the next week you're talking about helping them with, I don't know, business strategy. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it would be weird for you guys, as an example, if I came out next week and started talking about offering a coaching service on improving your relationship with your partner. Like, that would feel so strange if I came out and did that, right? Because you guys are like, but you help people in business. Like, I don't get it. And it would almost be off-putting, right? You would be confused. You would be unsure what's going on. And that's what happens when you're trying to solve too many problems for your audience. The more you can pick the problem that you solve and really just hammer in on that and talk to that all the time in different ways, people start to connect you just with that thing. Like, you know, people tag me sometimes when they see coaches asking for help about growing their business. They're like, you should talk to Laura. That's what she does. It's like how I mentioned the other week when I saw someone asking about Dubsado and I'd seen a woman always talking about Dubsado. I'm like, you should speak to this woman. So when you pick one problem that you help your clients solve, that's when you start to step out and be an expert. And I think there are lots of different things you can help people with, absolutely. And I find sometimes when people are working with me, we are working on things outside of their business that are impacting their business, like family members and emotional eating and all kinds of things. But like, I would never go out and say like, I help you guys with emotional eating. Like, it's like, I help you with your business. And sometimes there's other mindset things we talk about which are impacting that. So what I always suggest is, like, in the early stages, or even if you've been in business for a while and you're feeling like you're not kind of cutting through and starting to get seen as a coach in a specific area, pick one. And sometimes people want to pick like the really, like a tricky one. And it's like, if you've got something you can do really well and you really want to be a coach, pick the one that's really marketable. Pick the one that you know lots of people are looking for, because sometimes I see people resisting it and they're like, oh, I can do all of these things. And I'm like, well, that one's like really good, like really marketable. You could go out and make traction. with that because it's such a clear result, which I'm going to talk about as the next step. But they're like, oh, but I really want to do all these things. And they're like picking the thing that's a lot harder. Not saying if you absolutely love something and you want to do it, you can't do it. But sometimes it's like, if you really want to be a coach and you want to be coaching people, like maybe it's easiest just to pick the one that's the easiest to go out with and share, and be willing to do that and expand your services later. Okay, so that's something I see a lot. So the second big thing I see come up a lot in these calls is people focusing on the process. So like in terms of their marketing and their messaging and their niching, because the way I do help people on those niching calls is we come up with a niching statement. So they walk away at the end of 30 minutes, like refined niche, confirmed, really clear, and we pull through like a niching statement, which is like a bio or an I help statement. And what I see is a lot of people focusing on the process, like, oh, we do this work and I help them do this thing, and these are the things we do across our journey of coaching together. But the shift I want you to make, and the shift that really starts to make your marketing and your messaging really compelling, is to focus on the result and the problem you solve, okay? Shift to selling the result or the solution to their problem versus like the coaching journey. So it's not that it's 6 coaching sessions over 3 months, or, you know, mine's 15 coaching sessions over 5 months, or, you know, my most popular entry point is a a content intensive. So I don't really sell it as like, oh, it's a 2-hour intensive with a 30-minute follow-up call, and like, you know, we get to sit together and talk through that. It's like, no, you walk away with a content plan. You walk away with my 5-pillar framework. You walk away with a workbook that's complete so you can go off and create content with ease. Like, I sell the solution, and the 2 hours and the 30-minute call and the workbook are just part of that, right? So I hope you can see that and start to make that shift for yourself, is like, what is the solution or what is the problem that people want solved? For example, is it that they want to lose their last 5 kilos? Is it that they want to quit drinking? I spoke to a woman a while ago about quitting alcohol and thought it was such a great niche. Is it that they want to change their relationship with alcohol? Is it, I don't know, just whatever it is, like, what's the thing? Because people are lying awake at night with a big problem. Like, I want to quit my job. I need to be bringing in more money. I need to get that promotion. Like, if only I was more confident, then I could get this promotion. Or I really want to go on a holiday this year and I just don't have enough money. Like, people are lying awake with those kinds of things. They're not going like, oh, maybe I should just hire a coach and that'll be the way to do it. Like, they probably don't even know that. They just know they've got a problem. So as soon as you shift to the result and speak to the problem and how you solve it, it makes your marketing and your messaging just so much easier, because it's like, hey guys, you've got a problem. I've got the solution. Here's the solution. Here's what I solve for you. Here's the kinds of things people walk away with me from. Is that what you want, right? So as soon as you speak to that, it's just so much clearer. So I hope that helps, and something to think of and keep in mind. So, we've talked about solving too many problems, focusing on the process, and then shifting to the result. The other thing which is really interesting is I see, because I work with coaches, I see a lot of coaches, everyone's gone through this big personal development journey, right? So when you become a coach, you've probably already been doing personal development for some time. You've gone on a massive journey of like overcoming things in your own life, working with your own coaches, probably decided you loved it, want to help other people with it, became a coach. That's a whole nother level of personal development. And starting a business is like next level personal development. So you've often gone through this like massive journey. And what I see then is coaches talking to their ideal clients in this really coachy kind of language, or the really after the personal development journey language. So things like, I don't know, up level your life, or like access your intuition, or just things like that. Like, you know, step into your most self-loving version of yourself, or something like that. They use this really coachy kind of language. And it often doesn't resonate with their ideal clients, okay? Because your ideal clients probably aren't saying like, oh, I need to massively up-level my life and become the most self-loving version of myself. They're like, fuck, I need to just like stop the voice in my head and actually be able to go out and live my life, right? So like, can you see the difference? It's like, they almost won't resonate with the result, like not the result, but like the language, right? That language. So they'll resonate with the result of like solving the inner talk in your head and that kind of thing, but making sure it's in language that they're saying or that they're thinking. Because the biggest mistake I see is coaches using really coachy language, and people who have never worked with a coach or aren't really in the personal development space, they don't even know what all of it means. They don't know what it means to up-level their life or become the next version of themselves. Or I'm just trying to think of like a really common coachy word. Nothing's just popping to head at the moment, but you guys will know, right? Whereas like before you became a coach, you weren't probably ever speaking in terms of like, for example, actually, here's an example that popped into my head. We were talking about someone wanting to like up-level their career. Right? And people in careers and, you know, in 9-to-5s, they're not using the language like up level and their career. They're like, get a promotion, get paid more, step into a leadership. They don't even really say step into, like get a leadership role. So that kind of, those little shifts in terms of mirroring back what your people are thinking and saying is huge. So the moment you can shift away from that coachy language, and that's the language that, yes, potentially your clients will be saying after you've worked together. And that's sometimes where people are saying like, oh, when people have worked with me and we've finished, these are the kinds of things they're saying. But that doesn't resonate with the people before the journey. It's like the people who say, I just want to lose those last 5 kilos. And then at the end of the journey, they're like, oh, I realized like I needed to love and accept my body more. But like that's not clicking for the people before they work with you. So make sure you're using the language of people before they work with you so it really resonates with them. So I hope that helps. That's a big shift. You combine those first 3 together and your message will be so potent. You won't be able to help but attract people towards you. So there's some shifts and common things that I see. So I've got a couple more. Packaging and selling multiple offers. Okay. This one might be a bit controversial, but it's been a huge shift I've made in my business over probably the last year. Whereas when you present people with a whole bunch of options to pick from, people actually don't know what to pick. And it's like when you go to the supermarket sometimes and there's like 50 brands of, I don't know, sun-dried tomatoes or whatever, and it's so overwhelming. You're like, I can't even pick, and you just kind of walk away and don't take anything. I experienced that happening in my business where people felt overwhelmed with kind of the steps and the different options, and therefore they weren't buying. And it's something I see a lot of people do as well, is like all these different packages and different options that are kind of really doing the same thing, but it comes back to a bit of the like not picking the problem or not really going all in on the problem. So they've got like, they might have like 3 or 4 different coaching programs, which are really structured the same. Or they might have kind of like, there's like a 1-hour one-off session and then a 2-hour one-off session and then a half-day session and then a coaching series. And then there's actually like 4 different options of coaching series. And it's just completely overwhelming for your buyers. So something I'm always encouraging people to do is rein it back and just focus on, instead of going like, oh, I'm not sure which ones people will buy and I need something for every budget and da-da-da-da-da. Frame it in terms of what will get your client the best results. So that's been the big shift I've made, is like, yes, there's like 100 different ways I used to kind of offer it, but now I'm like, no, I only offer it the way that I know gets people the best results. And they can either decide if they're in or they're not. Like that's completely fine. But like it's way more confusing if I had sort of 4 or 5 different offers than I kind of really have 2. Like I sell people into the intensive, and then usually I sell them into the 5-month coaching program. Like that's the steps to take. So the more clarity you can have in terms of like, the best way to get my clients results is this, and I tell them that's the best way to get results, and that's why the programs are structured like that, versus the option of like, hey guys, here's like the buffet of options, like pick whichever feels good for you. It's almost like that conversation which we've had before around stepping into like that friend zone versus like the expert leader zone. It's like, no, like, yes, I know maybe it's uncomfortable for you to commit to like a bigger investment 2-hour intensive, but here's exactly why I've structured it this way. And this is why it's designed to get you the best results for your content. so much better than I'm like, oh yeah, okay, well, like you can do the 1 hour option if that suits you better, or you can do the 2 hour option. I really think the 2 hour one's better, but it's up to you, right? Like it's such a wishy-washy message. So the shift there is actually, instead of going like, what do I think I could sell, or what do I think people will buy, structuring your coaching packages and offers around getting people the best results. If you structure your programs and refine it down to like, I've structured it into these like 1 to 2 options because I know these get the best results, and this is the pathway you need to move on to get that result, you are stepping into leadership, you are stepping into expert coach status, and it makes a huge difference. So that's just another thing that I've noticed a lot is people like have a lot of options, and it's quite overwhelming for the buyers. Like even as someone sitting on a call with them, I'm like, whoa, like this is hard to grapple all the different offers you have, and I am a coach. So imagine for someone who's not, right? It's just an interesting shift to make in terms of your messaging and the way you really show people how they can get the best result, right? It's all about not what's more comfortable for you to sell or what you think might be easier or what people will buy, because none of that's actually serving people to the best. It's like, oh, I actually think the best way to get results is to do a half-day intensive, but I only think people will buy a 1 hour one, so I'll try and sell that. So different to being like, okay, cool, like I get it's a stretch in terms of your budget, but I absolutely know this is the best way to get results for you, and that's why I've structured it that way. So there's, you know, such a different energy, right? So just something to think about there. So the last one I wanted to share with you is around, it's really interesting, okay? What comes up a lot when I do these calls is people thinking that there's something wrong with them if they need support in their business. Okay, so what often happens is I go onto the niching call. People have either been stuck on it for weeks, months, maybe longer, or they've been brainstorming for hours and they've kind of got 2 or 3 pages full of different niching ideas. And they're always quite amazed. Like it happens a lot where people are like, wow, I can't believe we nailed that in 30 minutes and I'm now going to walk away and be able to move on in my business, right? It's almost like we make ourselves wrong for not being able to work through it on our own, something like that, right? And I just want to, like, that permission slip is there, like, no, like we're not all experts in business. Like if you're an expert in guiding people in through health and wellness, or, you know, through mindset challenges or through something else, why do you think you need to be an expert in business? Okay. Like why do you think you need to be an expert in messaging or pulling together your offers and, you know, really having a compelling message and marketing yourself? So it's one of the things I see people make themselves wrong a lot on is like, oh, I should be able to do this on my own. I should have been able to figure this out. Or usually then it's like, wow, I can't believe I wasted 3 months trying to figure this out on my own. We could nail it in 30 minutes. But then what happens is that same story is replicated forward, right? So then they're like, okay, cool. Like, no, it was just the niching that was the problem. I'm going to go off now and try and do the content on my own for a while, and I'll come back to you when I have a problem. And then what I find is people then, it's like the niching was just like an example of just like the resistance we face in really moving through and starting a business or, you know, accelerating our business. It's like, if you needed support with your niche, why do you think like you won't necessarily like need a similar level of support with the next step of your business? Like it's completely okay to want that, and like it's completely okay to say like, I want to do this the fastest way. I don't want to stay stuck on things for 3 months, because what I see people say is like, oh no, it was just the niche that was the challenge point, and now that we've solved that, I'll be fine. And then when I check in with them a couple of weeks later, they're like, oh, actually, I realize I do need support with that next step, which is completely fine. Like everyone can have that realization for themselves, but it's almost like they make themselves wrong for wanting that level of support or wanting to get to the result faster versus kind of struggling on their own. So I just kind of wanted to open that up as a discussion point, because it's something I see a lot. There are people kind of split either way. They're like, wow, like this was so amazing. We did this so fast. Of course, I want to jump onto the content intensive and do the next thing, or, you know, whatever it is. And then there's other people who are like, oh, like this is amazing. And like now this problem solved, let me go and try and solve the next problem on my own, even though they know it's probably going to be challenging. It's like there's a resistance to having support. There's resistance to investing in themselves. There's a resistance to really moving forward rapidly in their business, even though that's what they want. So I just wanted to share that with you because, you know, we need to stop making ourselves wrong in the process. It's just something I see a lot. People like, I should be able to figure this out on myself. If I can't figure this out on myself, maybe I'm a bad coach. Like, no, it's absolutely nothing to do with that. You're an incredible coach in your area, and learning, like being a coach and being able to get people amazing results is actually completely separate to the business of being a coach, right? We can't necessarily be an expert in that in the early stages of our business, in any stage of our business. Like there are new challenge points you hit up against at every step. So like, don't make yourself wrong for that. Don't think there's something wrong with you or you can't be a successful coach if you feel the desire to bring in support. It actually means like you're doing it right. Like you're so willing to, what's the way I want to say this? It's like you are willing to back the thing that you're putting energy into in your business, right? So like you're putting energy into supporting other people to overcome a challenge and process through coaching in your business. And then when you see challenges that you need support with, like you're so willing to bring in support and do that because that's like you believe in coaching so much, right? So that's where it can be funny where we're like, oh, like I don't need help with this. Like I can do it on my own. But then we want our clients to hire us to help them. We say like, you don't need to go it on your own. It's not like, that's not the fastest way. It's not the most supportive way. It's often not the healthiest way. So like, why do you feel like you need to go it on your own? Interesting thing to just think about, and something that I just wanted to bring up because it's something that I see a lot. And to me, it's the part of it is like the fear, and I get it, like the fear of investing in yourself, the fear of backing yourself in your business. But there's also this really strong element of making yourself wrong in the process. And that's the piece that I think work can be done on really immediately, is like, no, every step is right in the business journey. Like there's no way, like nothing is wrong when you don't know the answer to everything in your business yet. Like that's just absolutely normal. But the fastest way I've always found is to bring in the support you need and just say like, yes, it's okay to bring in support. I have full permission to do that. And on the other side, if there is a fear of investing in yourself and backing yourself, like that's something to work on too, because if you believe fully that you are going to get the result, investing in support to get there is a no-brainer. So if you are looking at it as like, no, like I have to be willing to like let go of that money because I don't know that I'm going to get the result that I want, then you need to look at your belief, okay? Because making decisions from that place, like of course I'm going to create what I want, is completely different to like, I wonder if this will ever work. Right, just such a different energy, and I can talk about that another day because it just sparked an idea, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole today. So I hope that is really helpful, guys. Just some things to think about. So just to recap, the first mistake we chatted about was wanting to solve too many problems and really allowing yourself to pick one and go in and pick one that is marketable and that you know people are struggling with and will need that service like immediately. That can be so helpful. Mistake number 2 is focusing too much on the process and then making that shift to correct for that is shifting to focusing on the result. So the third one was using overly coachy language, or really using the language of the kind of the way your clients are speaking after they've worked with you, but you want to be using the language and the kind of speak and, you know, I can't speak today. It's my sore throat. I'm just going to say using the language that your clients are using to talk about what they really want. So the fourth, I really can't speak. The fourth one was packaging and selling too many offers and really giving yourself permission to refine that down. And then the fifth one was thinking that there's something wrong in your business if you need support, and making those shifts around like everything's new, everything's a problem to solve. Just like I help my clients do that, I have full permission to do that in my business too. So they're the biggies I wanted to share with you today and walk away with. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know as you catch the replay whether that helped, what resonated with you. If you love this training and you love kind of these weekly trainings, I would love for you to maybe take a screenshot or do whatever you do and maybe share it on Insta on the stories. If you could tag me in there, that'd be awesome, because it helps me get my message out there and in front of more eyes. So if you love these trainings, I would love to ask you to do that, because that will help me grow my business, my message, and be able to provide even more value to you. So that would be awesome if you could do that. And that's it for today. I hope you have a fabulous Friday. I hope you're having a massive week of impact, insane income, and I can't wait to chat with you soon. And I should say, actually, since I talk so much about the niche calls, I do still have some availability. It's just coming down. Like, I'm not going to be doing 22 in the next 6 weeks, but they are there. So I think it's pinned on the top of my business page, and there it definitely is like frequently shared in the group. So you can just search it in there, book in a call, and we can have my eyes on your niche and do exactly those things we've chatted about. Narrow it down, refine it, speak to the results, speak in your client's language, and really nail that in 30 minutes so you can move on to the next step in your biz. So feel free to do that too. That's your invitation, and I will catch you soon. Bye.